Touchdown Tampa Bay. You're listening to the PewterCast.
Welcome to the PewterCast Live. My name is Brent Allen. I am one of your hosts, joined as always by my good friend, longtime no-see Ren Daxt. What's going on over there, buddy?
Yeah, it's glad to see you're still alive. How's it going?
I am. I was worried about you too. I got to tell you, I wonder how Ren's doing these days. I haven't talked to him in a little bit. So.
He's not on Twitter, that's for sure.
No, you weren't. You know what? I haven't been either as much lately with everything going on and just other stuff, and then things kicking back in and then not kicking back in, and oh my gosh, it's what in the world. But we are here tonight. We are joining we are going live. This is our PewterCast live show, streaming live at youtube.com/thepewtercast. You guys make sure you go over there, subscribe, hit that bell icon to be notified when we go live in the future. Because guys, let me tell you what, if you're new to the PewterCast, during the season, we go live after the games. We open up the phone lines. You get to call in. You get to have your say over the game. As far as I know, Ren, at least up until this season, we've been the only show that does it that fast, that quick, and in that way. So you guys definitely make sure you guys come back and join us for that. So you want to click that. But Ren, we've got a special show on deck for the folks out there tonight, bub.
We do, because of the lack, and I really feel for these other book podcasts that have this set schedule, like twice a week or, once a week, and it's just like, oh man, it's like the poor guys at Locked On Bucks, like they even cut down to 3 times a week, and it's still just like, hey, someone said this on a show. Let's talk about that for a half an hour.
Right.
So
and
that's
all, and I want to give proper shout out to James and David over there doing that. Partly it's contractual obligation, partly they're fans, so they want to try to talk about it. But I know that that's a tough road to hoe. And James and David are not new to this. A lot of the people who are going at that kind of pace are new to kind of this thing. But like I was thinking about it earlier, Ren, like you and I have been around for a while, like we are not new to this. And I was thinking of like Derek when he was still podcasting and different things like that. And he would say, yeah, I remember the early years when I used to go every single week, even during the off season. And those last few years he was doing it, he was like, I'll go during the season, usually. That's it. And I kind of feel like we've put in our dues, we've earned our stripes. Like we can go when there's stuff to talk about and, call it good.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't even care about that. I mean, there's nothing to talk about. There's nothing to talk about. Like, we've always sort of fallen in lockstep with, we're not going to make content just to make content.
Right.
But again, like you said, those people that go a certain amount of times a week, like they have not only they're contractually obligated and they got sponsors that they've promised and that's the reason why they're doing it is because they have promised sponsors that we're going to go twice a week. So anyway, I didn't mean kind of start off that way. It's just, I feel a little sorry for those people that have to try to make, like squeeze blood from a rock for Buccaneers content now.
I get it. And
so
tonight's show probably will have maybe 50% to do with the Bucks because it's not necessarily a Bucks centric show. Now, our kind of, promise to the people out there is that during the off season, we go about every 2 weeks. Sometimes it's a little bit quicker. Sometimes it's a little bit longer. We're about 2 weeks. In a normal year, in a normal season that's not pandemic related, we would have just come through our coverage of OTAs and the voluntary things, and we're moving into what we call the long dark night of football.
And there would have been rookie camp and UFDA tryouts or UDFA tryouts.
Right.
So there would have been 3 different camps. One before the draft, one after the draft, or 2 after the draft. You count the rookie. Yeah. And then, we would have seen Brady throwing to Mike Evans by now.
Right. Not on a drone camera, but
helicopter. Drones aren't allowed near the airport.
Oh, okay. There you go. But either way, yeah, like we would have seen those things official, but it's not. This is just a very weird year. We would have had news coming out of $1 because people would be at $1, and they're not really, or they are, but in a very limited capacity right now. So it's just a weird year, but that's where we would normally be. And this is not that. So here's what we're doing tonight, guys. We thought it would be fun to kind of let you guys get to know us, and this is sort of a thing that we don't do a ton
ever.
This might be our first time we've ever done this, for sure, at least in this format and here at the PewterCast. But we know that there's a lot of new people out there, a lot of new subscribers, a lot of new followers, and people are just trying to get to know us. So we thought we'd just sort of open up, we'd put ourselves on the hot seat for tonight's show, and we just open up, not really a mailbag show, because we tossed around that idea of doing a mailbag show. Lots of people do mailbags, but we said, let's open it up, not just to Bucks questions, but to any question people out there want to ask.
Yes.
And they
yes. And it's really not too bad. Like I stole this idea, and not like where I stole it from was the originators, but it's just kind of like an A.M.A, like an Ask Me Anything, right. Like to keep it sort of sports related, but crazy scenarios, like rank your Marvel movies, like what's better, Parks and Recs or The Office, stuff like that.
Right.
And we got some good ones, and we got some, some ones that people were just dipping their toe into the water of this type of content. But yeah, I think it's going to be fun. You're going to learn a little bit about us and, the way we think, and, and there is some Buck stuff in here. So we'll be touching
stuff. Now we have sort of been collecting these questions over the last week or so, that we've kind of been putting it out there about that. So, we've got a handful of questions. I don't know if we have exactly the same questions, Ren, but they're pretty close, I think. So we'll figure out how we want to do that. But also, we're going to open this up to people in the chat room. I want to say hello to everybody joining us live in YouTube land out there. You guys are in the chat room. You guys drop questions in the chat that you want to ask us, and we will see those and pick those up. This isn't Ask Me Anything. It can be any topic, Bucks related, not Bucks related, or some amalgam of the both. Take a non-Bucks related topic and make it Bucks related. We might even have some of those in there tonight. So
no Cam Newton to Patriot questions. Don't care. That broke like 5 minutes before he came on.
It did.
Really, like
actually
2
already
minutes.
In the chat room. People have already asked about it. So.
Oh, have they?
Yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah.
Well, there's my answer. Don't care.
Yeah, there you go. Mine's sort of well, what else were they gonna do? I mean, it was Cam or Colin.
Stinton. No, Stinton. There we go with Stinton. Hey, they wouldn't lie to you, especially the Patriots. As an organization of teams that aren't totally honest with outside the building, the Patriots stand at the top.
Did you, I think I also saw they're not allowed to have like television crews filming any games this year, and like they have some sort of fine and penalty, and maybe even like a loss of a draft pick or something over.
Yeah, they lost a third rounder next year. Right. Because they set up and just started filming the Bengals like they were just filming the Bengals practice, like the sideline, like they were doing the first time they got caught, but they did it like from like the press box.
Right. And like, no, we were just filming the press box.
And it's like, they were like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm just setting this camera up. And he's like, you with the Patriots? And the guy's like, okay. And everyone's kind of looking around like, do they know that they're not allowed to do that? Or are they just like, do they think we're so scared that we won't say anything? Or, it's the Patriots. If, they wouldn't dare do anything wrong. I mean, they wouldn't do another thing so stupid, would they? But yeah, they did.
Turns out they
did. And the Bengals of all people, like, really, do you need to cheat to beat the Cincinnati Bengals?
Right. That's like getting a speeding ticket when you're on your way to something that doesn't matter at all.
Right.
Like you just, I'm running to the gas station and you get a speeding ticket. You're like, what?
Going to the in-laws' house.
Right. Ren, I tell you, we have talked far more about the Patriots than I've ever wanted to in the entire history of this podcast. Why don't we bring it back in, and why don't we start with some of the questions that we got in from our viewers out there? And like we said, guys, you guys drop them over in the chats. We'll try to get to those as well too.
Do you want to do questions, or do you got anything that happened with the Bucks this past 2 or 3 weeks that you want to jump in on?
I mean,
just short.
I don't know. I mean, there's the whole thing with Vita Vea that all of a sudden sort of seems to be coming out of nowhere. He had surgery on it. He had surgery on his hand.
Yeah.
And he was supposed to have it earlier, but it got prevented because of COVID. And then there's some people out there saying that it's because he had COVID and just all this weird stuff. But the bottom line, I don't care why it got delayed. It makes sense to me if something like that possibly would have been delayed. But the bottom line is, I don't care why it happened. What's it going to mean going forward? It's going to mean he's going to miss some of training camp, which I remember the last time he was supposed to miss some of training camp, he missed all of training camp in like the first 8 weeks of the season. So I don't anticipate 8 weeks of the season, but you know, who knows? They're scheduling training camp going. Oh, I guess less Bucks and more NFL as a whole. Training camp, fans in the stands, everything's on schedule from the NFL office to go forward as normal.
Yeah, the only thing they've really done is cancel the Hall of Fame game and the Hall of Fame ceremonies.
Right.
That's about it.
Right.
And I want to,
Big Nasty. Your time's coming, brother. Your time's
coming.
Yeah,
one more year.
Right. But you're actually in. You just have to wait for them to do it.
But I have something to say on this whole COVID-19 thing and how the the big four sports markets are going to get around this.
Yeah.
And the media, especially the sports media, is going to fall right in line. Yeah. And the narrative of how, dangerous COVID-19 is to, certain people is that it's going to totally change. It's going to totally change because right now it's like, all you got to say is like, how many hundreds of thousands of cases of COVID are like Florida, 5,000 cases of COVID, and people are treating it like it's a death sentence. Mm-hmm. And it's far, 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 far from that. But we'll get on to that later. I don't want to start the show on that.
Well, we actually have a COVID question if you want to go ahead and attack that.
Let's save it.
Okay.
Wherever you wanted to start, let's start. Now that I've derailed your flow.
I have no idea. So we'll jump in once again. Hello to everybody out there in YouTube land. They're also saying JPP had minor surgery on his knee. He will also be ready to go.
That is correct.
So, and Ren, you have gotten about 4 questions in the chat, all asking what you think about Cam Newton to the Patriots. Anyway, all right, here, let's go with this. Here is this is the first question that I received out there was, what is your view on the NFL season this year? There's no elaboration upon what they mean by that, but what is your view on the NFL season this year?
Wow, I guess I am going to start with that COVID question I was going to end with. Here's what's going to happen. Fans may or may not. The season is going to happen. End of story. Yep. Okay, here are some very rough basic facts that I looked up, not right before I went on the show. So these were true at some point. The survival rate of contracting COVID-19 is over 98%. Mm-hmm. If you take out close to half of deaths are elderly, so like 60 and over. Mm-hmm. Okay, so if you're not 60 or over, now we're pushing like 99% survival rate. Now, of course, it what makes COVID so scary for a lot of people, you can't go to CVS and go get Theraflu. Right. When you get a cold and you don't want it to turn into pneumonia and you get on a ventilator and you die. I get all that. So it also attacks people with pre-existing conditions, especially in the respiratory system, and people that are overweight, have diabetes and things like that, which also goes into heart disease and, your respiratory system's working overtime all the time. Mm-hmm. You take those out, it's really not as scary as it is, as at least, the media's making you feel. And I'm not saying it's fake, so don't come yell at me. I'm not trying to be insensitive about it. If you knew someone that got sick and COVID was on their deathbed, but they pulled through, or God forbid, I'm very sorry that they passed away. I get it, but the percentage is minuscule. Mm-hmm. Now, take pro athletes that are in peak condition, in a peak age group, that it is an anomaly that they pass away from COVID.
Right. And
that's the narrative that's going to be spun, and the media is going to fall in lockstep. Like, look, from guys that are 23 to 36, it's like 0.111 death rate. If you get it, it's they're not even going to talk about quarantining. People are going to get it, and they're not going to quarantine them. I mean, from the team.
Right.
They're just going to let it burn through, and the media is going to get right behind because the media needs their jobs. And if sports don't go out there, like the St. Pete Times, like Pewter Report, these guys can't last forever with no content.
Mhm.
And so you're going to hear this whole narrative change about how COVID-19 is not as dangerous to people in this health group, which is like the elite 1% as far as like, being healthy, respiratory condition, very stout humans, and that age group. And that's that's why it's going to go forward. So I guess my final answer is football season is going forward. And now the recent thing where like it dies almost instantly in UV light, like Tampa Stadium's outside, man.
Right.
Football season will happen with fans. I don't think so, just because of the optics.
Mhm.
But I also feel that it would be. I think if the NFL said you just have to sign a waiver, if you're a season ticket holder, they email it to you and you just check a box and and do it electronically. And if you're a walk-up sale, then you have something you got to, as they're pushing you through the metal detectors, there's something you just got to check a box and sign your name. And like, if I get sick here, I'm not, and I think everything would be fine.
Yeah, I think there's I'm with you on that. I believe the season's going to go forward 100%. There's many economic reasons for that. There's many other factors going forward with that. We're seeing the NBA is doing whatever they can to make their season go forward. They're going to come play it at Disney World, the entire league. Baseball is coming back with a shortened schedule, and they're going to do 60 games. There is no way the NFL is not playing. And listen, most of these guys, I don't even care about all that. Let's talk about how it's going to affect the season, right? Most of these guys are used to practicing with no fans in the stands. They've played most of their career with no fans in the stands. These guys are going to be just fine playing in empty stadiums. They don't have to pipe in fake noise. They don't have to do any of that kind of crap. Just let them go play the game. And
I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind the fake noise
if they want. That's fine. I'm just saying they don't have to, because these guys are going to go out. They're going to play the game. They'll play the game with the same intensity that they've always played, and we're all going to watch from home if we don't get to go to the games.
I can't wait to hear all the F-bombs on TV.
So that to me is exactly what's going to happen. Now, they may have some additional safety measures that they'll make in the locker rooms and the inside, because you're right. The physician people that I have been speaking to, and pretty much this is confirmed by the talking heads out there in the news, if you listen to them, CDC and whatnot, that outside you're generally perfectly safe. It's when you're inside that things can get a little bit weird. So being in the locker room, things like that, that's where things will get weird. But being outside, you're generally pretty good to go.
And that's what helps football so much.
Yeah.
With fans, because like the NBA, like in hockey, they're in smaller arenas. Baseball, the arena's bigger, but a lot of them are still inside. And there's a lot inside in football too. But if like the Colts had to go play somewhere else in the city of Indianapolis,
you got college stadiums and stuff you can go play in. You'll be just
fine.
You'll be just fine.
You can find somewhere. I mean, remember when the Vikings roof caved in?
Yeah,
they went and played somewhere outside in the snow.
I mean, the Rams and the Chargers both played it at college stadiums for a while in LA or something like that.
The Chargers were playing at a soccer stadium. It held like 23,000 people.
Right. The Raiders played at a baseball stadium for how many years? So it's really not that big of a deal. This thing's gonna go forward. I think I probably tend towards they will allow fans in the stands. There'll probably be you got to wear a mask and you got to have waivers. I think the waiver will be a thing, but it'll look a lot like I think what we're seeing in the theme parks right now. And they'll move forward with it and they'll let people come in. That's my thought. But I think the season as a whole is going to be relatively unaffected by the disease. I think it's going to go forward, and the biggest difference just might be no fans in the stands, and there'll be some internal workings behind the scenes that'll be different. So. But anyway, so thanks. I think that was Chris who sent that in. So thank you, Chris.
Hey, speaking of that, where do you come down on the Tom Brady practicing after the NFL said we'd like you to, the NFLPA said we'd like for players to stop?
They're outside, right?
Yep.
I will refer back to what I said a few minutes ago about being outside.
Okay, get this. I know that you've quit listening to the Ira Kaufman podcast. This last one was really good. I mean, the takes were terrible, but the talking points were really good. I mean, they were bad. Like the first 5 minutes was almost unlistenable. Like I was like, I can't wait to do this, and Steve's like, that happened like 3 years ago, and he's like, oh, well, it's like it's just spouting off the mouth. I have no idea what you're talking about. But anyway, they brought up Isbitz went and got inside Berkeley Prep, right? And I don't know if you've seen this, but this is what I saw when Tom Brady did the there's nothing to fear but fear itself on Instagram. Did you see that? And then Tom Jones quote tweeted and said, "I guess being the GOAT doesn't mean you have any compassion for your fellow man." Like he would never fall on the side of on the wrong side of any kind of woke political issue. Well, Isbitz went to Berkeley, and when he got in, Brady wasn't there, but he said there was like hundreds of kids at summer camp. Like there was a basketball camp, there was a tennis camp, they were all over the football field. None of the kids had masks on, and none of the instructors had masks on. No one said a word about that. No one's even saying a word about that. Nothing. But Tom Brady with 12 guys, now he's trying to, according to Tom Jones, he's trying to it's like, what about the parents of all those kids are just sending their kids out into the virus zone? Yeah. Make sure you bring your gas mask.
Yeah, it's outside. Anyway, I don't want to drone on about all that craziness. But yeah, that's my thought on the Tom Brady stuff. It's outside and they're grown people. So, if there's a city mandate that locks them down, then you're violating city mandate. But outside of that, it's more just hey, we'd like for you not to. Okay, great. We're still going to do it anyway. Thanks for telling us you don't want.
Do you think a mask is a infringement on your personal rights?
I don't want to get into that. I really don't. I don't.
Okay.
I don't want to get into that because that's a multifaceted question. That's not a simple yes or no question. Anyway, all right, let's move on. Move on. Gene asks us, what NFL team do you hate the most and why?
Oh God. I missed this little section of questions. What team do I hate them? I really don't hate teams the most. So I've said this before. Like I don't hate the Panthers.
Right.
I don't like Cam Newton.
Right.
And it's not that I really don't like the Panthers, is I don't like Panther fans. The way they pop off at the mouth. It's the easy pick to pick somebody like Dallas, because no matter how bad or good they are, they think, they're the greatest team in the face of the earth and always has been and always will be.
Right.
Same thing with Patriots fans. Once Brady got there and turned them into basically the laughing stock of Cleveland Browns, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they were there. They were awful. They had one good season in their entire history. So, and then hearing those fans pop off for 2 decades, that gets kind of bothersome. But I guess the team that I hate the most, I would have to say it used to be the Chargers, because I thought their owner was a terrible owner and a terrible, he wouldn't pay people. He was like Hugh Culberhouse.
Right.
But he passed and the team was sold. So, I guess I'll go with the Patriots.
I said the Patriots too. I really do. I've spent the last 12 years or so really not
Eagles in the chat room. That's always a good one.
Eagles is a good one. And the Eagles for me is mostly because of the fans. I see how the fans react, especially outside their stadium. The Eagles is the only stadium in the entire NFL that I refuse to go to, for an away game. I'd love to go visit all the other stadiums. I'm just not going to go to Eagles game. Or Brent, if I do, I'm just going to be incognito.
Brent, they have a holding cell in their stadium.
In the stadium. Yeah.
Point with a judge on duty.
No, are you serious?
Yes. You get taken down and sentenced, and if it's bad enough to go to jail, they hold you at the vet. At the old vet too.
Right. Oh, no, I can't do that. I can't do that. But that's really the one but Patriots is mostly I've just not liked them. And I think it is I've said this before. I think it's bad for the league for the Patriots to continue to win the way they've been winning over the last decade and a half, 2 decades. That needs to change for the sake of the league. And so, yeah, I still stick around to the Patriots until I don't hate them anymore. So yeah. So thanks, Gene, for that. We've got a big one coming in from the chat room here. This is a multi-pronged question, Ren. You ready for it?
I am.
This comes to us from our friend James Monahill over Mr. Bucks Nation.
Big money!
You guys make sure you go subscribe to his YouTube channel. Nobody else is doing what he is doing out there. James asks a couple questions. What interest do you have outside of sports? We'll start there.
What? Are there interests besides sports? No. I'm a big foodie. Like, because I sort of, I always say I grew up in the restaurant business. I didn't. I grew up in the grocery store business, but I started working in restaurants at a very early age and stayed through it. Through most of my 30s.
Yeah.
So, and as you start out at places like Bennigan's or Ruby Tuesdays, but as you sort of get older and start to understand where the money is, you start to get to these nicer and nicer places.
Mm-hmm.
So then you really start to learn about food and ingredients and the way that it's made and prepared. It's not like they don't cut up out a plastic bag, throw it in a $3,000 or actually $11,000 microwave oven. The Applebee's, like the whole entire line has like 3 of these ovens that get like to 5,000 degrees in a minute. And that's how they cook all their food. So once you get kind of past that, I started to get into a lot of food. Yeah. So I'm into food. I guess that's really,
I like food too.
I guess that's kind of about it. Kind of the stuff I care about and I watch and being creative. Cause
you travel though.
I have traveled. Yeah. I like to, but who doesn't like to travel?
My wife.
Okay, well, it's your fault. But when I went to Italy, it was awesome. Like it was like art and food. And then we went to Ireland, and one thing about Ireland was that we were kind of on the move at all times. Like we barely spent 2 days in one spot. So it was like it'd be like wake up, drive to where you're going, check in, go see one thing, have dinner, go home. Wake up the next day, go drive somewhere else. So it wasn't sort of, when we went to Italy, we were based in Rome and Florence,
right.
So we got to stay there and we got to see all the big things and some of the smaller things. So I don't want to say I didn't like the Ireland trip, but the Italy trip was just so much more better. And then, when I was sort of in my teens, I bounced around Europe for a while. So, I like to travel, but I wouldn't really call it an interest. It's food. I guess it's people.
Yeah.
It's the way people think and why they think that is probably my biggest interest. And this COVID-19 thing has really gotten me into politics. I've always stayed away from it at all costs.
We have always stayed away from it in our own conversations.
Yeah, because I first I didn't care.
Share that idea. Yeah,
I did not care because you know what? Whatever the president does, I'm in no tax bracket where it's going to affect me at all. Like it's just not. And then the more you learn about it, like it's. I heard this quote and I thought it was so great. Somebody was talking about the stock market and they go, "Oh, you mean the graph of rich people's feelings?" I thought it was hilarious. So I've started to get into politics. I've already looked into who my city councilman is, what district I live in, like when's a new re-election and stuff. So I always said to myself that, I always feel like I'm sort of like get off the pot or do something type of person. Right. And that's why I've always avoided politics, because I knew once I got into it, I was going to get frustrated. I'm like, I'm going to have to do something. Like I have to do something. This is absolutely ridiculous. So yeah,
everybody vote for Ren in the upcoming city council election, St. Pete, Florida.
It's 4 years away.
Yeah, there you go. Is it? Oh yeah, I guess you guys no wait.
It's they swapped district. I think there's 8.
Yeah.
And then like every 2 years they do odds and evens. So they just had in 2019, they just had the even or the odds, which was my district.
Gotcha.
Plenty time to plan.
There you go. As far as me, I guess I'll answer this 2-pronged. If you're asking about like what are my other fandoms, one of my other fandoms is Star Trek. I've got another podcast that I do over there with that called Beam Me Up, a Star Trek podcast.
Isn't that the one you fired me from?
I did not fire you from that.
Nah, you made it pretty clear that you didn't want me on there.
That is not how that worked. That is not how that worked. But there's that one, and then I guess you could say it's Harry Potter, but like that one was more unintentional. I think I got involved with some groups that do a bunch of stuff surrounding Harry Potter, and it just sort of became a thing. Like I was like with this podcast, right?
Mhm.
And I know you've talked about it. Like before you start podcasting about, before you start following it as closely as you and I follow it, like I'm just sort of like a casual fan.
Yeah.
But then once like you get into it and you start like diving in and doing what we do, you become like I don't know, like I don't want to say obsessed. That's not the right word, but you're much more in it. You're much more knowledgeable.
You understand that the smallest thing that, on the outside you could care less about actually has waves and reverberations that changes everything.
Right.
Such as the last show we did, which was about the new CBA with the first round draft picks.
Yeah. Option. Yeah. Which, we got some great feedback on that. If you guys don't know what we're talking about, go back one episode in the podcast feed for that particular episode. And Ren's right. Like it's a little thing like that could have big implications. But outside of those other fandoms, I like watching TV and movies and stuff, but mostly it just has to do these days with my kids. I'm a stay-at-home dad when I'm not doing this. And so I'm a teacher also in another life. So we're homeschooling our kids because we have that ability to. And then it's like, I'm coaching my kids' baseball team and I'm the head coach this year. And my daughter's getting into swim team and dance team stuff. And like, I'm turning into that typical soccer mom with an SUV now, just taking everybody around and hanging out with the family. That's really my main interest these days is.
So do you hang out with the soccer moms? Are you sort of like their mascot, the male mascot of the soccer mom?
I get shunned. No, I get shunned.
Oh, really?
Talk to me. Yeah. No. No. They don't. They look at me like, what are you doing here? I had this true story. This happened to me one time. I take my daughter. She's 3 years old to a park. It was right after we moved to Florida. Take her to a park. And there's like, I guess like a mom's group having like an outing or something. And I let my daughter just goes off and plays with the other kids. Like she's loving it. And so I go sit on a bench like most parents do. Right. And I'm like kind of playing on my phone a little bit. And I'm not a small person. I'm a rather imposing figure at times, but I wouldn't say that I'm like a suspicious individual, generally speaking, either. Like,
no, you're very affable.
Yeah. But this lady, like I noticed these girls, like the moms, like they're kind of looking at me and whispering, oh, whatever. And one of them comes over and she's like, excuse me, do you have a child here? Yeah. Well, which one is it? I was like, my daughter, my 3-year-old daughter over there.
The one that's not yours.
Yeah. She's like, can you call her over here so she'll come to you so I can see if she's actually your daughter? And I was going to at first and I went, no, I'm not going to call her away from playing with a new friend just because you have some weird thing. You want to sit there and watch what she does? I promise you, give her 3 minutes and she'll run over here and give me a hug because that's what she does every 3, 4, 5 minutes. So I'm sorry, I'm not going to interrupt her fun time to be there with you. And she like kind of went huffy puffy and stormed back off. And, sure enough, Evie came over just a few minutes later and like gave me a hug, turned around and ran away. And I was like, see? So yeah, that's a pretty indicative story of what my life is like around the other moms,
I don't mind that she did that, but her approach was awful.
Oh yeah.
Her approach was awful. It's just like, hey, we're kind of a group here. We stay, I'm sure you can understand that, we're really, we sort of look out for each other's kids and safeties and stuff. And we haven't seen you before. So, like, is that
yourself and say something? And it's fine. And again, watch. You probably just missed the last 2 times she came over and gave me a hug. I don't know how you didn't see it. So anyway, it's I'm not in that club really at all. That's why I like coaching my kids' team better because I'm with the other dads usually at that point. So,
are you not allowed to talk about what you do with the court system? Is that why you never bring that up?
no, I can. Yeah, that's actually good.
Because that's a big thing. I mean,
it is.
You know,
I'm also a guardian ad litem, which, if you guys are familiar with Bruce Arians and his family foundation, this is what they do. And basically what it is for kids who have been removed from their home, removed from their parents or their guardians for whatever reason, they now find themselves within the system, the foster care system. When people go to court, like the parents, like the mom has her lawyer and the dad has his lawyer and the state has their lawyer, but who looks after the kids? And that's where we step in. And like the guardian ad litem team is made up of a lawyer who is not me. It's made up of a case manager, but it's also made up of me, who basically the general idea is the judge went, I'm trying to make decisions for the sake of a kid. Who's there to tell me what's going on with the kid? So the judge, this was like a judge in like Mississippi back in the 70s. So he got a bunch of people together to say, here, go check on these kids, come back and report to me and tell me what's happening so I can make an informed decision. And that's what we do, is we go out and we just sort of advocate on behalf of the kid of what's in the best interest of the child, not either one of the parents, not the state, not any of those people, but just really on behalf of the child. Now with that, I'm not allowed to talk about anything that I actually do. I can't talk about anything with the cases that I actually do for obvious reasons. But yeah, I've been doing that for, I think I'm just about to finish up my second year, going into my third year with doing that. So, and I highly recommend it. In the state of Florida, it's the Guardian Ad Litem program. You guys just Google it. State of Florida, you guys can sign up. They're always looking for volunteers to come in and be a volunteer Guardian Ad Litem. For what they'll do. And when my kids grow up, and they're growing up very fast, I find myself back into a working situation, I will probably go to work for this organization, I would imagine. I really do. I think that's 100% where I'll wind up.
Cool.
Either that, or I'll be driving the tourist tram in St. Augustine, giving tours of St. Augustine. It'll be one of those two.
All right.
So, all right, one more question for Mr. Bucks Nation. He says, what jobs have you guys worked outside of the PewterCast, and what degrees did you consider or did you get in college? Yeah, basically, he wants our resume, is what.
Yeah, sure.
James, why you testing us, James Monahill?
I went to a lot of towns that had colleges.
Yeah,
that people my age went to. I also enrolled in a couple of schools. I never went to class ever. I didn't go to class like my senior year. Like I had to come back and take exams halfway through my senior and a half year to get 1/2 of a credit, because I came up a half credit short because they failed me my whole second semester of my senior year because of absences. So I can't. Yeah, so I wasn't a student. I wasn't a studious student to like. I didn't get it. Like I thought I was Luke Skywalker. I'm only thinking like looking in the future, but never taking care of anything today. Like nothing. I was really bad at that. I mean, awful. And my home situation was like it was basically 4 strangers living together. Like no one knew what was going. Like mom didn't know what my dad was doing. My dad didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what my little brother was doing. My little brother didn't know what my mom. Like no one. Everyone had they'd walk in the door. You'd grab something to eat, and you went in your room, and you close the door, and no one ever came and knocked on the door. Right. And that's how I lived, and that's how we all lived. So there was sort of none of that sort of guidance or things like that. And then I mentioned how, I got in the restaurant business was, I had a friend from high school, and they were working as a busboy at a restaurant. I needed a job. He got me that job. And then, when I bounce from town to town, I just keep getting, jobs in a restaurant business because that's what I had on my resume. And I really didn't, I didn't want to work as a cashier, or I didn't want to work in retail. I didn't want to work at the mall because, as a busboy and a waiter, at the time you would get cash in hand every day. Right. So, and that's what I did. And then I never really learned to sort of make plans and look into the future until one day, like, in my early 30s, I go, like, what am I doing? Like, I'm terribly unhappy. I don't want to do this anymore. Right. Every time I get a table, I hate them already, and I haven't even said hi to them. And if you said the wrong thing at my table, I would blast you. And they sort of, oh my God, we just get in so much trouble all the time. But I was really good at it. Like I knew the menu backwards and forwards. And
for those of you listening to the audio version of this later, Ren is like holding a cup of tea close to his chest. He's like savoring. It was such good times. Yeah, it was such good times.
When I got to blast the customers for being Karens, I want to see the manager. Like I knew about that decades before. Right. So anyway, I was really quick to call people out on their crap, which would get me in a lot of trouble. Sometimes it wouldn't. Right. So then I just decided I took a year off because I was at least smart enough to keep a savings, and I sat and I thought what doesn't bore me, because I'd tried a couple of things in the restaurant business trying to get out of it. Okay, what do I want to do? And I always sort of look at something that would make money or make money quickly kind of thing. Like, oh, get rich, not sort of like get rich quick schemes, but I flipped a house once. That was a complete disaster. I ended up making like $5,000, but I lived off ramen noodles and slept on the floor for like 8 months because I had no money. I just barely. No, it wasn't, because then I had to take a $6,000 to find some place to live. So basically, I just, I learned how to do a lot of stuff around the house. I'm a great handyman now. But so I
really
tried
good
that.
At pulling bushes out of the dirt.
No, I had to run pipes and electrics and electrics. But then I realized that the only thing that really I never got bored of was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I decided to start diving into that. I started on Twitter. I used to bombard Greg Allman in his DMs. I mean, bombard him, and he would answer me, and it was great. And then I found out what podcasts were. I started looking for podcasts. I found Brent's, and then I started calling in, and then you started bringing me on, and then brought me on. And then, so in about a span of 2.5 years, I went from not having a Twitter account to having press credentials at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers training camp.
Pretty neat.
Yeah.
Full press credentials for the new football league, the AAF, that has
go Apollos.
Thanks to Tom, whatever his freaking jackass name is.
But to finish up real quickly, I do a lot of buy. I'm kind of like a picker. I do a lot of buying and selling. I find stuff that's cool, and basically I just know it's cool and they don't, so I buy it cheaply. I updo it. I'll price it up. I have precious metals that I've always collected. I've told you, Brent, that I've always started collecting precious metals, and it's always helped out in a pinch. And do a little day trading, and
you're a cartographer.
No, I am not a cartographer. I told the real buck talk guys that I was a cartographer the first time they had me on. They're like, tell us about yourself. What do you do? I'm like, I'm a cartographer. I buy and trade ancient maps. And they're like, wow. No, none of that's true.
My background is when I first went to college, actually not when I first went to all the way through college. I went to a small Christian college in Clearwater back in the 90s, which is part of how I became a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan. And I majored in pastoral studies and Bible, and with the goal of becoming what? Are
you going to tell a story how the beach was the devil?
No.
Come on.
If anybody wants to ask that question, go ahead. Anyway, but with the idea of going into ministry, wound up leaving there, or while I was in college, I wound up teaching remedial reading at an elementary school there in St. Pete. I forget the name. Oh. Shoot, I should know the name.
You should. I probably know it.
I can drive to it right now, but I can't remember the name of the school.
Where's it at? Where's it at?
It's in St. Pete. I don't know. I remember how to.
You don't know
anyway.
Oh, you don't know the street names?
Anyway, it's been 20 years. Anyway, but kind of got into it from there, and after college, wound up going overseas to live in Korea, and wound up teaching English in Korea because of a roommate that I had in college who was part Korean. And we went over there. Actually, my whole dorm room wound up in Korea together at the same time, living overseas, which was totally awesome and completely rad. And while I was there, wound up attending university over there, which actually had a partnership with an American college here, and got a master's degree in education while I was over there. Unfortunately, when I came back,
you have a PhD?
No, a master's. I have a master's degree.
Oh, that is a PhD.
Yeah.
I told you, like, I went to a lot of college towns.
Right.
Okay.
You never read the handbook, or the catalog, but he went.
No.
But anyway, when I came back, like, I couldn't teach, and I wasn't going to be in ministry. Like, I had decided that was not the path for me, or that I was supposed to be on. I'd actually gone to seminary a little bit too, and had kind of bounced around a little bit, worked in some corporate stuff, worked in restaurant industry, worked in pizza, loved pizza, would absolutely open my own restaurant again in a heartbeat, especially a pizza restaurant. I love that business. It was so much fun. Can't do the hours. But wound up meeting my wife and getting married, and she and I opened a business together, and then we wound up having kids, and fortunately her income.
We opened a business together.
Yeah.
Kids ruined it.
They did.
Got pregnant and ruined it.
And they fortunately, my wife's income provides enough really for the whole family, more than enough. And she and I decided that we didn't want somebody else raising our kids. It was actually more her decision than mine. I would have been more okay with it, but I'm with her. I agree with her on that. So we made the decision for me to stay home with the kids, and to eventually homeschool the kids. And that's really how I got to where I am today. And as soon as these kids are old enough to just sort of kind of go on their own, I'll probably go back to the workforce. I also, in the middle of all that, have a huge background, 25 plus years of experience in sound engineering, a little bit of video work, a little bit of lighting, live production, all of that kind of stuff, big stadium, big theaters, down to just little guys. And that's how I got into podcasting, is because I have that background as well. So that's pretty much where we came from. All right, final question in this line, and just kind of as it's sort of in this for me, Ren. This questioner asked, I always wonder what you guys do for a living. We just sort of answer that, but he asked this: do you make money from the podcast, or is this more of just a hobby? I'll field this one. But both is true. The money that we make is recent and is new and is still very much a hobby. It is not anywhere near paying the bills or anything like that. We did this for, Ren, how many years? 4 years, 5 years before really making a cent, before making a dime.
Yeah.
We do have a Patreon page. If anybody out there is interested in joining that, we have some very faithful supporters over there who contribute every single month back to paying the bills. Because I say this all the time, or not all the time. I say this often though. Podcasting is free to listen to. Always has been, always will be. It is never free to produce. It's just not. All the gear, all the equipment to make things happen costs money. And we would do it anyway, but I'm incredibly grateful for the people who partner with us. And if you guys are interested in that, patreon.com/the PewterCast, you guys go check that out over there. So with that, Ren, I've got a Bucks question. Unless you have something you want to chime in on making money or not with the hobby with the pod.
Yes. That is my answer.
There you go. Who do you think the team captains will be this year? Is Brady automatically one of them?
Yes, he is.
Yes.
And I have JPP as a defensive captain.
Mm-hmm.
Would like to have it to be Levante David, but I just don't think he's sort of that type of guy. The vocal guy that a team captain seems to be. And then I gave the special teams captain to Dare because he had it last year, which guarantees he's going to make the team. But really, it's his versatility. You know, it's like he can play the third down rollback, but he also play the hammer between the tackles, and you know he can do whatever you need him to do. He just doesn't really do it at starting level in the NFL. But take where you can step in if Ronald Jones or Stewart or Calais get hurt, he can step in and do all their roles. Right. Plus play special teams, and he was special teams captain last year, so that's where I'm keeping him.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got Brady. And here's, I want to caveat that. Yes, I think Brady is going to be a captain. I think it's automatic, but I also think it's earned. As to our conversation earlier about Brady going out there hosting these things, Brady is doing the things that a captain does. He's getting the guys together. He's making things happen. He's going to be a guy who goes out there and lead. Brady is going to be a captain. Honestly, he would be a captain just by the virtue of the pedigree and the gravitas that he has coming into the team, I think. I also think it's going to be Evans and Allie. Mike Evans and Ali Marpet, I think, are back as captains. I do think Levante will be a captain this year, Ren. I could go with,
I thought there's only 3.
They have 6 captains.
Oh, wow.
They generally have 3 offense, they have 2 defense, and then 1 special teams is typically how they have it separated. But I've got JPP and I've got Levante. I could see them maybe subbing out JPP for Devin White though. And letting it be White and Levante, but we'll see. You don't think so?
No. They might put they might put sub Devin White in for Levante.
It's possible. I think Levante has a lot more leadership. I think he does a lot more of the vocal leadership than maybe you realize he does.
Oh yeah, how do you know that?
So. Well, just based on the fact that you said you don't think that he's that vocal of a leader, and the things that I have visually seen Levante doing, he's usually the one in the huddle.
No, I'm all
people and firing them up and stuff.
Sure, I'm only taking my cue from every beat reporter that's in the media room, that's in the locker room. But you know,
they say that Levante is not a vocal leader.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool.
I bet you $100.
Yeah. Hey, here's one. How do you feel about the overall depth of the defense, and did Gronk hinder that?
I don't like it. I mean, you know, it's something I've talked about a lot. We are one injury away from Ryan Smith starting at cornerback somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the safety position obviously super deep. The middle linebacker position, we talked about Levante David and Devin White. I love the way Minter played last year. Like he should have won some type of Pewty for his performance when Devin White did go down. And then all along the defensive line, like, you know, like there's no Bo Allen. It's right. Nacho. Nacho's the next guy off the bench behind Golston, Sue, and Vea. And then on the outside behind JPP, it's Anthony Nelson, who's played like a total of like 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's not good. But here's the kicker. Yes, we got Gronk at Dunton. Yeah, we got Gronk, and it took 9.6, basically $10 million away that we could have got maybe a Matthews on the edge, or, you know, maybe who was out there? I think Logan Ryan was out there a long time, was a cornerback a lot of people liked, or maybe like go get another slot corner for like $8, $9, $10 million. But we have seen this time after time after time after time that the Bucs go in different ways than we think.
Right.
And it's usually about players, not necessarily really about positions, but sometimes it is about positions. Mm-hmm. But just because Gronk's gone, that doesn't mean they took that money and put it at an offense. They might have went and got another running back.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they might have went and got, another tackle.
Yeah.
Other backup tackle. You know, there's a lot of places they would have went. I mean, they might have found a linebacker they liked that would take Kevin Minter's place because he was younger. Mm-hmm. So it's not necessarily that, you know, knowing the Bucs, they would have got another safety, you know, complete their baseball team back there. So it's just if Gronk wasn't here, doesn't mean that depth in the defense would have necessarily improved, especially the places where you think it needed improvement.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm not thrilled with the depth on the defensive on the defense specifically. But did Gronk hinder that? I don't think so. And we've often talked about how Mike Greenberg and Jason Light have set up this team. They've set up the contracts. They can do whatever they want. You know, if they really want a player, they can figure out a way to make the money happen. Like with Shaq Barrett right now, the whole thing. And we haven't talked about this yet. Shaq Barrett now says that he's 50-50 on whether or not he's going to sign his franchise tender. I think he's going to, or his franchise tag. I think he's going to sign it. I think they're going to continue to work on a new deal as well. If the Bucs really want to pull out the stops and make something happen for him, they can figure it out. They can move money around. They have some flexibility. they're going to have to make moves that they don't want to make in order to do that. And I don't necessarily mean cutting players. I mean, they're going to have to restructure current deals that's going to spread things out, and they're not wanting to do that. So while the Gronk thing didn't help, I don't think it really hindered either. If there's something they really want, if there's somebody they really want to go after, like really, 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 they can do it. So, and I know, like, there's people, you could have gone this person or this person or this person or that person. Yeah, you could have, but that person may not have been a great fit for this team.
Yeah, or they might not even wanted them just because you know their name.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah. All right, let's see here. Here's a thick question.
Okay.
This is a thick question. This is going to fall into the ask me anything category.
Yes, I'm ready.
This is the I'm surprised somebody actually asked this, but hey, here we go. This is the question word for word. Were the circumstances surrounding the Justin Pawlowski arrest so crazy that it killed any chance of a new unified group taking the stick carrier's place? Obviously, smaller groups have formed, but there was so much hope with the stick carrier movement that the arrest seems to have diminished people's willingness to really unify under one banner.
Not afraid. And okay. Wow. Were the circumstances so crazy that people are afraid to unify under one banner? No, I don't think so. Look, whatever you think about Pawlowski being charged with basically, soliciting a minor for sexual acts, I think we'll go with. That's pretty universal understood. Yeah. That's what he's accused of. I mean, the guy was a great hype man. Like, he could get a lot of people pulling in one direction, basically rowing the boat in the same direction very quickly. And that's what he was good at. But with the crime being so heinous, in society's eyes, and I think that's correct, but I just don't want to lump everybody into one group, that merely even speaking his name, and it's been 2 years, is still like, ooh. Yeah. So I don't think that people want to sort of stay away. It's just, I'm sure there was some sort of embarrassment about being a stick carrier and feeling like you got duped or fooled. I went to the Joe Bucks fan draft party, that wasn't too long after Pawlowski got arrested.
Right.
And there was still talks about, he might, do you think he's going to show up? Do you think he'll show up? Like, is he going to go? Is he going to show up? Because as soon as it happened, Derek Brooks was supposed to be there. He pulled out. Pulled out the next day. There were talk of other people that are supposed to be there. They pulled out. Mm-hmm. But, there was a lot of those conversations happening at that draft party. And even, sort of his closest friends, the ones he would mention, some were actually his friends. Some were just that he met through Buccaneers fandom. Mm-hmm. They were very vocal in talking about how, and it wasn't like, oh, I'm really disappointed. It was like, F that guy.
Yeah.
He's dead to me. It's over. And it's just, I just don't think that there has been another fan group that's come out that has sort of that dynamic of a leader that he is. Mm-hmm. And we talk about it all the time. We knew, we didn't think it was going to end like this, but he's going to this is not going to end well. Right. Yeah,
we did.
He's on a rocket ship to the moon, and
we weren't wishing it upon him either. It was more of just a
judging through history and those types of leaders that use sort of hate and fear as sort of fueling the mob and the masses to get behind him and go. He was on a rocket ship to the moon and burning fuel really fast. Yeah. So I think that's why there hasn't been sort of that unifying thing, because there hasn't been sort of this dynamic of a leader that put all of it into it. And as soon as he had some things happen in his personal life where he was going through a divorce, sort of when he started gaining popularity. He was going after Pewter Report all the time, and going after Scott Reynolds, and people were like, "Oh, I hate those guys." Yeah. He was going through a divorce, and it seemed as soon as that ended, and he met someone else, and his life stabilized, his his tune changed almost instantly on his pod.
Yeah.
Became much more mellow, quit attacking people, dropped down to 2 days a week, but he still started to lose his fire. Like near the end, he was doing podcasts to and from work in his car. That's when he's recording them. So he's driving to work and and being such a dynamic speaker, he'd always have like this, you could get behind the reasons why he's not taking the time to do the podcast, at home with professional equipment. It's just him talking to his phone that's sitting on his, center console. So, but yeah, so I guess that's my answer is there's just somebody that hasn't, that type of personality just hasn't sort of stepped up yet. And I'm sure they're out there, but you got to find someone who cares enough to do it and put that much time into it and put that much energy into it.
Yeah. See, I would say that, how do I want to word this? I would say that I think that the Bucks fandom is actually more unified now than we were even when Justin Pulaski was at his best, when he was not tearing other groups down, when he really, and I think it became about him. He really did want to try to bring people under this banner. But I think what I see now is we all already have a banner. We're Buccaneers fans. That's our banner. Like that's the banner we unite under. That's why I can go to the What the Buck party over here, and we can go to a Loose Cannons thing over there, and we can go to a Buckaholics thing here, because we're all the same. We're all Buccaneer fans. There's no need for a group. Now this group over here may want to band together because they're a certain thinking mind, and that's fine. But there's no pot shots. There's no firing across lines anymore. There's no dividing line. That doesn't exist in Bucks fandom, and it's been like a breath of fresh air, to be quite honest with you. And so I don't.
Is it because Jameis is gone?
I don't think so, because people didn't rally into groups of I'm for Jameis and I'm against Jameis. People had their own individual opinions, but we were all still Bucks fans.
That's
and
true.
So and I'll tackle specifically the Loose Cannons guys. And hey, listen, shout out to Sammer and Stank and Christian
and X.
There's one more person with that.
X.
Yeah,
X.
thank you. Shout out to those guys. Those guys are probably the leftovers. Not, I don't know if leftovers. That's the right word. Those guys were big members in the Stick Carriers movement, and they washed all that off, and they came out with something new with the Loose Cannons. You guys go subscribe to their channel over there, subscribe on their stuff. And I love what they're doing. I love what Sammer's doing, the way he's putting out his show. He's putting in a ton of work, takes him a ton of time, and mad props and respect to him for what he's doing. But what he's not doing is, and what they are not doing is creating we are the Loose Cannons, you have to join us or you're against us. That's not what they're about.
Right.
They're about just being Bucks fans. And so I think, quite honestly, we are all, the banner that we all unite under is this right here, the Bucks flag. This is, or the Vans. Yes, for all skaters. So yeah, that's kind of, I guess, my piece on that. And I think we're in a better spot now as a fandom, collectively as a fandom, than we were even when Justin was at his best, because I think it started in a weird spot and it was really hard to come back from that.
It was almost like a political movement,
It
like
was,
yeah. you have to start out sort of being a thorn in the side of the norm. What's this, if you want to get into politics, this is the way to do it, A, B, and C, and you come in and start sticking and stabbing at the head guy in charge, and then start pointing out negative things about him, and then people are like, yeah, I always thought that too. And then once you sort of got into the same conversation, when you would start naming, like, oh, like, where do you listen? Like, where do you get your Buck content? Da, da, da. And once you start saying, Bucks Uncensored, then you could start to pull back and really start to spread out your platform. But it was a very much of a blitzkrieg, and I don't think it was thought out. I think it was just had to do with the way his life was going at the time, and it was going pretty bad. He was getting divorced, and he might not get his kid, and so he was lashing out at everything that he didn't like because he couldn't do it. He couldn't do it in his life, so he lashed out on a podcast. So
there you All right, a couple more questions that I have over here. Ren one says, "What type of contract do you think the Bucs are going to offer Aaron Rodgers in 2022, and how long until Russell Wilson is our backup QB?"
Well, I'm benching Rodgers for Wilson because Russell Wilson can do more with less than any quarterback. I don't want to say ever, but right now.
Yeah.
But if Aaron Rodgers was the Bucs quarterback in 2022, I would say it's around $37 million.
Yeah. Yeah, he's not coming down. He's not doing a Tom Brady thing. For sure. I'll go with you on that. I have no banter for that. All right, last question I have. Is that right? Oh no, here, two more. Hey Ren, do you like cheese? Somebody wants to know if you like cheese.
I like cheese. I like soft cheese, hard cheese. I like medium cheeses. I'm not a huge fan of blue cheese. If I go to Subway, it's always provolone. If I put it on a sandwich at home, it's usually Munster. But if I had my choice, and they do almost every cheese this way, on my charcuterie board, I would do a hard cheese, a cave-aged cheese, and a cave-aged cheese that's covered in ash and then aged in a cave. It makes all the cheeses better.
Interesting. I prefer provolone, generally speaking, across the board. But I like all the different kinds of cheeses too. That's a weird question, but hey, they put it out here. Ask us anything. Hey, final call though. We are wrapping this up. If anybody has any other questions you want to drop in the chat, you guys are joining us live.
We're not even close to wrapping this up.
Oh no? Oh, you got more stuff over there. Okay, well, here's the last one that I really have. What would be the perfect Buccaneers uniform? Is it one of our past ones, a blend of different uniforms, or do you like the design they have now?
This was a tough one. I had to give this a think. Now, I really think the old creamsicle uniforms, are sharp. I really do. I think they're sharp. The white helmet, the orange face mask. Not a huge fan of Bucko Bruce, the winking pirate. But I did like the uniforms. Now, I also think that if you start a sports franchise, a football team, not necessarily basketball, I think it's a good idea in hockey. Baseball doesn't matter. That especially football, you should use the color silver. For some reason, silver on football uniforms makes them all look better. So I guess, but I think my favorite color combination is what the Steelers use and what the Iowa Hawkeyes use, which is, the black, the dark black, and then they call it gold, but really it's a yellow. It's a mustard yellow. It's maybe a little tinge of gold. But since we're the Buccaneers, you could do the black flag, because of Jolly Roger, the gold, the yellow, but call it gold, and then put some silver in there, and then the mascot and the helmet logo would be Yukon Cornelius from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Stop animation, because he sings that song Silver and Gold. So you'd be silver, gold, and black. And I think that'd be some sort of really cool color combination for a team called the Buccaneers.
Interesting. I did not put anywhere near that much thought into this.
Did you do the NFL roster from TV shows question?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
Sorry.
I wasn't sure how we were gonna do that, but anyway, the uniform one though is I honestly I liked the Super Bowl era. I watched the Super Bowl, the Buccaneers Super Bowl 2003 with my kid the other night. He wanted to watch it, and I remember looking at those uniforms, just going, why did we ever go away from these? These were great. They were fine. There was no reason to change these whatsoever. I like them better than I do the current uniforms now. As close as the current uniforms are to those old ones, I still think I like the other ones a little bit better. I had no problem with those.
You're crazy. It's just because they won in them.
No, I liked that uniform a lot. I still do like that uniform a lot.
No.
You can't tell me my opinion.
I'm telling your opinion's wrong. It's what we do.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway. I guess the only other thing we then really have is somebody asked a question about putting Bucs players into a TV show or filling out the Bucs roster with the TV show characters. How do you want to do? I think I read this wrong, and what I did was I took Bucs players and cast them in a TV show.
Oh, you did that way wrong.
I think I did it backwards. I think they were wanting to take television show characters and put them on a Bucs roster, which seems weird to me.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it looks like we're going both ways with it. So why don't you go first and see what you got? How do you wanna do that?
Wasn't there one that said, "What's your favorite like universe, like Star Trek, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings"? I couldn't find. I
didn't have that. I had somebody who asked me what Star Trek character do I most identify with, but that was on my personal Twitter account.
Right.
So if this show ran short, I would have dove into it. But
okay, you go ahead and do yours first because
Okay.
mine's more along the comical lines.
Okay. So I chose Star Trek. So I took Bucs players and cast them in a TV show.
Okay.
But what I did, I sort of cheated a little bit. I took the Star Trek thing because I like Star Trek a lot, and I'm watching it a lot because I have a podcast related to it. So that's all I'm watching usually these days. The cool thing about Star Trek is there's like 7 series spread over the 50 some odd years that the show has been in. So I went through all of Star Trek to do that. And I'll quickly go through it. For people out there who don't know anything about Star Trek, this probably won't make a whole lot of sense to you. But Ren, I'm glad for you to question anything that I have here. But here's where I got. I took basically.
I want to try to guess. Is what I want.
You want to try to guess?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like you give me the
what
play.
I'll call the presumptive starting lineups and plug them in. Okay. So Brady.
You give me, but you have to give me the series.
Okay. I'll do that. That's fine. Brady from TOS. I cast him in the original series.
Okay. Yeah. No abbreviations.
Sorry.
Brady TOS. I'm going with gotta be Kirk.
It's got to be Kirk. He's pretty and he just does everything and takes everything on himself and absolutely does that. All right, Rojo, I cast him in The Next Generation.
Oh God. I don't have a guess.
You don't have a guess. I put him in as Geordie LaForge.
I did not want to go there in case I was wrong.
Yeah, no, he's just a guy who's working. He's just
because Rojo is definitely known for his being a mechanic, engineering. Sorry,
where are you going to fit a mechanic into a football team? Anyway, Mike Evans, I also put him into The Next Generation.
Ooh, Riker or Worf?
Riker, yeah, cast him as Riker because he kind of like he's definitely a leader.
Yeah,
he's kind of that number 2 guy though.
Yeah, but he's a little young,
a little young. Yeah,
grooming him.
But he's definitely his own guy. You know? Yeah. Which was very Riker. All right, Chris Godwin's from the original series.
Oh, you had to put him as Spock.
No.
What?
No.
How dare you?
No.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm going with. You're wrong.
No, I'm right. I cast him as Bones, as the Doctor.
Bones?
Yes, because he's smart. He gets it done. No matter what needs to happen, he makes it happen, and that's exactly who Bones was.
It sounds exactly how Spock was, except he doesn't bitch about it all the time, which Bones did.
All right, Cam Brate.
Series.
Deep Space Nine.
Oh, Jesus. I don't know that one well enough. Odo?
No.
Not even close. Yeah.
No. Dr. Bashir.
Okay.
They both have the super smart thing going on, but they also kind of have the young, naive thing going on a little bit, you know. Right. But they grew into something that wasn't so young and naive either.
Yeah. Complete book smarts. Total, not kind of, you don't like you.
We saw those videos, Cam. We saw those videos. Buddy.
You feel like he would, like both those guys would lose like $500 on the streets of New York City at Flim Flam, you know?
Right.
Like, I'll pick the ace out, you know, like
sure.
2 hours later, it's like down $3,000.
Right. Gronk.
Series.
From Voyager. I
don't know.
I put him in as Tom Paris.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Now, for those of you who don't know, Tom Paris is a guy who starts off like he's in prison when the show starts off and they come get him out of prison. And he's a bit of a goofball. He's a bit of a guy who goes out and plays, but he's really, really good at what he does. Like the reason they got him out of prison is because he's the best there is. And that to me is like Gronk. Like he's a goofball. He messes around, and we went and got him out of retirement because he's the best there is out there. So,
but when it's showtime,
he gets it done. He gets it done. All right, Donovan Smith, Next Generation.
Oh, geez, somebody who thinks they're a lot better than they are. Let's see.
I'll give you a hint. Next Generation and Deep Space Nine.
Oh, that's O'Brien?
Worf. Yeah.
Worf?
Yes.
Because he's supposed to be like head of security left tackle. Is that what you're doing?
Right. He's the enforcer. A little bit of what you said of like, I'm not saying it. Anyway,
he would go up to Jameis Winston every game and go, "I got you, brother," and then would continue to like quit blocking like 2.5 seconds into the play.
Yeah, we'll see how that works out with him.
Last year was his best year.
Yeah. Hey, don't forget, Donovan's going into a contract year this year. Like not technically, but he is. Like because this is the last year of guaranteed money for Donovan.
Yeah,
right? Like they can either cut him next year or they need to extend him next year. So anyway, let's move a little faster through this. Ali Marpet from Deep Space Nine.
You got to be somewhere?
No, just don't want to take forever with it.
Ali O'Brien. I'm going with O'Brien.
No, see, O'Brien would have been a good one. O'Brien would have been good. I put him in as Jake Sisko. He comes
the
in
commander.
Young. No, the son, the commander, the captain's son.
What?
Yeah.
Which season?
Huh?
You're not talking about season 1, season 2.
Well, am I talking about rookie Ali Marpet or I'm talking about 6th-year veteran Ali Marpet?
You're going to compare Ali Marpet as a rookie to Jake Sisko season 1?
I'm going to compare the growth that Ali Marpet has had from year 1 to year 6 to the growth that Jake Sisko experienced from season 1 to season 7. Yes, I will.
I don't know. I don't think it's been that much. Okay.
All right.
Too big of a jump for me.
Jensen. Ryan Jensen.
Oh, God.
I'm probably going to get it for this one, though. Yeah, Voyager. Voyager's the series.
Voyager? I was thinking Quark for sure.
No.
Voyager. Oh, the tattooed guy. No? Torres?
No.
I don't know.
Neelix.
No, I knew it.
Yes.
Red hair.
Yes.
But to be fair, you also identify as Neelix.
He is the one that I identify most as was Neelix. It's very true. It's very true. All right. Kappa. Alex Kappa from Next Generation.
Who cares?
Exactly, which is why I put him in as Wesley Crusher. And Crispin Wirfs from the original series.
Ooh, see, the new rookie with all the potential. Spock's still out there. He can't be Spock.
No.
Chekhov?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Come in the second season. He's kind of bright-eyed. He's kind of a pretty boy a little bit, but he's sitting up front there. All right, flipping over to the defense.
A lot of responsibility piloting a starship, son.
Yes. Shaq Barrett from Deep Space Nine.
Oh, I don't know. That's probably the least one I know. I don't know.
And you argue with me about Jake Sisko. Odo. I put him in as Odo.
Okay.
Odo can like turn into liquid and like slide around and get anywhere he wants. And that's
all right. Man. Okay.
Yeah. Let's see here. Vita Vea.
God. Series.
Original series. Sorry.
Oh, is there a happy-go-lucky dude in the original series?
Mm-hmm.
Are you? The Tribble guy. The Trouble with Tribble guy. The guy who
the guy who's trading tribbles.
Harry Mudd.
That is not the guy trading tribbles. No, it's not Harry. No, I stayed with main cast. I stayed with main cast. No, Vita Vea. I put him in as Scotty.
Don't like it.
And I understand this was probably one of the more bigger stretches, but the thing is Vita Vea goes kind of like Scotty, like whatever you need done, he gets done. Like Vita Vea goes out there and works, and he puts the guy up and sticks him in somebody's lap, and then he seems like he's going to go have a drink with you afterwards, or he goes and plays offense when you need him to play offense, or he'll come in and he'll just make stuff happen. And so that's why. And Scotty, like he would be in the engineering. Sometimes he'd be in command of the Enterprise. So,
Sometimes.
yeah.
One time.
But listen, let me tell you what. You try fitting in Maui, the demigod of sun and water or whatever, into Star Trek and see where that finds you. Anyway, Sue. Indominus Sue.
Harry Mudd. I did it.
No. Sue.
Yes.
Sue is also from the original series.
Sue, if you gave Worf up, huh? I'll go with Spock.
Yes. I gave him Spock. And I couldn't give Spock to the other guy. That's why. Okay. JPP from Deep Space Nine.
Kara.
No. You're thinking Kira, but no.
Don't get snotty.
No, he's the captain. Captain Sisko.
Oh, I forgot Cisco was still up.
Yeah, just a badass. Yeah. Levante David.
Series.
Next Generation.
Ooh. Did you give him Picard?
Yeah, I did. I was gonna say, see our earlier conversation. We might disagree on this. Yeah, no, I did. It just Levante he kind of has this old wisdom to him, I feel like.
Steady hand on the till.
Yeah. Devin White.
Series.
Next Generation. Sorry.
God. Oh. I don't know.
I gave him
Tasha Yar.
No. Though I thought about it. I also thought about Troy for him as well.
No.
But this is where I wound up with O'Brien. Although I guess O'Brien's also in Deep Space Nine. But I was thinking more of Next Generation O'Brien. So
okay, I can see it.
Yeah, I was there. All right. I'm gonna skip these two. Jamel Dean.
You're skipping two?
Yeah, because I'm gonna come back to him in just a minute.
Series.
Deep Space Nine.
Kira?
No.
I don't know.
No. Nog. I put him in as Nog.
Who's Nog?
Nog is the nephew of Quark.
He's a Ferengi.
Yeah. But
he's a kid, right?
Yeah, he's the kid. Spoiler alert, he's also the first Ferengi to join Starfleet and goes on later to be a captain and all those sorts of things. Started off as a little kid that nobody really wanted around, seemed like a troublemaker, but actually became one of the most interesting people, one of the most useful people, and one of the people that like you just shouldn't have underestimated from the beginning. And that's who Jamel Dean is to me.
All right.
See my love for Jamel Dean. All right. You can combine these two guys into the same sort of character. I will tell you, this is not a named person. Carlton Davis and SMB.
It is not a named person?
It's not a named person.
I don't even know what you mean by that.
This is from Enterprise.
Oh God.
And I put these guys in as what they called in Enterprise the Makos. It was basically like the Marines that came on board the ship to like just be the enforcers. Like,
okay.
We probably got their names somewhere. I couldn't tell you what they are, but
okay, just so people who don't know, the Enterprise is a reboot of basically the original series, but back from like the day they launched from Spaceport, right?
Not a reboot, but
yes.
Yeah, it's a prequel is what it is.
So basically they're the red shirts before they were red shirts.
Yes, except they actually came in and like were badass and could actually hit the broadside of a barn.
Oh.
They were really good.
So nothing like red shirts or stormtroopers.
Right. And they actually became the basis for the bad guy in Star Trek Beyond the movie. And with that, I put Whitfield down here, but I didn't have anybody to go for him. So
all right.
Yeah.
Janeway.
Anyway, there you go. Sure. Why not? All right, your turn. You did it the other way. I
did it the way it was asked.
Television characters.
Right.
And passed them in the roster around Buccaneer world.
Right. And I would like you to guess. I would like you to guess too, but okay. This is going to make sense.
Series then.
Right? No, this is going to be well, sure, but this is going to be a lot easier than you think it is, or maybe not.
All right.
Because that question about realms, like what's your favorite sort of universe? I was thinking like, what is my favorite universe? I thought about, like the Xanth series that Piers Anthony did in books, because that was kind of like the first one I lopped onto. And then, there's all sort of Wheel of Time. There's all sort of these series of sci-fi fantasy books that really paint like a really great in-depth world. But I settled on my very first one, which isn't exactly, I think it's a little bit cheating, is Hanna-Barbera.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So when I did my football team,
Uh-huh.
I did cartoons.
Okay.
Okay.
Are they Hanna-Barbera cartoons or any cartoon?
Most of them are, but any cartoon. And I will give you the series just for sake of time. Okay. You want to start with offense or defense first?
Your choice, my friend. Start with offense. We always start at quarterback.
All right. QB.
Okay.
Transformers.
Optimus Prime.
Optimus Prime. Probably the greatest cartoon leader on the good side of all time in any cartoon ever made.
And so good that in every iteration, he's always been voiced by the exact same person.
I don't know. Okay, sure. Running back.
Series.
Well, some of the series names are the person. So,
give me a hint.
Grape Ape. That was the name of the ship. Yep, that's it. He's my running back. Grape Ape. Try to stop that guy.
Okay.
Tight end. Voltron.
No, wait. I'm sorry. Are you taking like the Buck player that is currently occupying that spot and trying to make an amalgam, or are you saying these are the roles and here's who I would want to put in regardless of who's currently there with the Buccaneers?
There is no currently Buccaneers. I'm building the roster from cartoon characters. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Grape Ape.
You're not saying Rojo is Grape Ape. You're just saying you would put Grape Ape in as a running back.
Yes.
Okay,
he's my running back of all the cartoon characters to pick from.
I'm sure Brady would be okay with being called Optimus Prime.
Sure.
But Rojo might not appreciate Grape Apes.
Tight end from the series Voltron, I took. Voltron. I took Voltron.
Voltron himself? Okay.
Yeah.
The whole of Voltron?
Yeah. He doesn't move too well, but he only has to get down like 7-8 yards and turn around. And if you can't hit Voltron with a pass, like, he's not going to get bodied. He's not going to get out muscle at the line of scrimmage.
And he's really good at blocking too.
Yeah. I mean, who else you got? All right. Wide receivers. And I also went with a 3 wide receiver set here.
Okay.
Wide receivers would be the Fantastic Four universe.
Okay. Are they all part of the Fantastic Four?
No, it's a Fantastic Four universe. It is not one of the Fantastic Four.
None of them are one of the actual Fantastic Four.
Of this wide receiver spot.
Dr. Doom?
Silver Surfer.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
My other wide receiver,
Silver Surfer, is bigger than Fantastic Four, but I guess he's really not.
Well, that's the only really I know him from. Like I didn't know anything about I can only kind of heard about Silver Surfer because they made that movie and I was like, oh, look, there's Silver Surfer.
Yeah.
My
other underrated movie, by the way. Go ahead.
No, it's not. Yeah. So wide receiver, still Fantastic Four, but it is one of the Fantastic.
Human Torch.
No.
Oh, stretchy lady, or dude,
nope.
Reed.
Nope.
Invisible Woman.
There you go.
Oh, Invisible Woman.
Yeah. Plus, she also does force fields a lot, but you can't find her. I mean, it's like where
you want your wide receiver is not be able to find her.
Well, you know where she's gonna go. Like the quarterback, like Optimus Prime, know where she's gonna be. He just has to throw it at that spot, and she just sort of appears. Like she can run around and appear in a soft zone and come back to be visible again.
Because that worked out well for Jameis for the last 5 years.
Oh, he had Susan Storm on his wide receiver.
Well, no, but I mean, honestly though, how many times? And I'm not asking you for a real number. This is more rhetorical though. How many times did Jameis throw an interception, and they would come out at the end and go, "Yeah, that guy didn't run the right route." Like Jameis threw it to where it was supposed to be. That guy over there just didn't run the right.
No, she runs the right route, but she's invisible. Right. Optimus knows where she's going to go. She knows where she's going to go. Mm-hmm. She's going to go to that right before she gets to that spot. She's visible again. Defensive back is, oh, look, she's way over there. I should go. Like she's open.
I'll bet you also Optimus Prime can see her even when she is invisible. Just
I didn't want to get unrealistic with this list, Brent.
Oh, wow.
All right, my slot.
Okay.
Chitara, Thundercats.
Fair enough.
Can't cover her.
Yeah.
My left tackle and left guard are the Wonder Twins, Zan and Jaina. Zan's my left tackle. He can from Super Friends. They're the alien twins that you ever watch that at all?
Mm-mm.
Oh, Oh, okay. Well, Super Friends, kind of like what the Flintstones did with the Great Gazoo. They brought in these two alien twins that were sort of the comic relief when the Super Friends were out battling things. There would be a lot of side stories of these two with their pet monkey getting the shenanigans back at the Hall of Justice.
Sure.
Well, Zan could change into any kind of form of water. Okay, so he could be like a tidal wave, a bucket of water, but he could be like an ice wall. So as left tackle, he'd be ice wall. Jaina could turn into any animal. So as a left guard, she could turn into a gorilla. She could turn into a tiger. She could do whatever she needs to do, depending on if she's pulling or like going back on a pass set. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. My center, I got Shazam, which is not Shazam. This is an old genie, Hanna-Barbera, late 60s, because he can hike the ball without moving. Like he can just genie the ball back into Optimus's hands, and it gives you another like almost another full second of time to throw the ball. Right guard, like Alex Kappa, like who really cares? So I slapped in Jabberjaw. Right?
Gee.
And then at right tackle, I put in Gorilla Grodd, who is from the Flash series, who is he's basically King Kong, not quite as big, except he has the capacity of human intellect.
Okay.
So Gorilla Grodd is my right tackle.
All right.
I forgot. You're supposed to be guessing. All right.
I would not know it. Jabberjaw is the only one I would get, and I promise you I wouldn't guess him.
From Jabberjaw.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, Edge. The show is Speed Buggy. I took Speed Buggy.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. Dune Buggy with a lot of speed coming off the edge. My other Edge, I'll say it's from Super Friends. Edge Rusher. Looking for speed off the edge.
The Flash.
There you go.
There you
go. Defensive tackle comes from X-Men. Unstoppable Force.
The Beast. No.
Unstoppable. Juggernaut.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
His close cousin at the other defensive tackle. I did a 3-4, by the way.
Professor X. No,
no, this is just a brother in spirit from the He-Man universe. Is almost exactly like Juggernaut.
Ram Man.
There you go.
Ramhead or whatever his name is.
Ram
Man. Yeah. He's the guy with the flat head. Basically, he's Juggernaut in He-Man. Yeah,
he's Juggernaut. So those guys are my pocket.
Is he a good guy or bad guy in He-Man? I always
guy.
Forget. Bad guy, yeah.
They're all bad guys. There was He-Man and then a bunch of people that didn't have any powers, and then all the rest were bad guys.
Did you see the new He-Man that they made back? They made it in like 2001.
I did not.
It was so good. It was so good. Yeah,
really?
So it only lasts like 2 seasons because it didn't have the fan base behind it, but it was so good.
I'll check it out.
Well, you can get like the whole series on Amazon for like $20. So worth it.
Brent, how many times do I have to tell you I don't pay for stuff?
I know.
All right. My nose tackle. I'm looking for the immovable force, and I picked this one early. Okay. It's early cartoons voiced by Bill Cosby.
Oh, Fat Albert.
Yeah. I got Fat Albert playing nose guard. All right.
No way that show would play today.
No way that show would play today. Oh my God.
No way. Despite Bill Cosby's own personal things, there's no way that show would play today.
Never.
Go ahead.
All right. Since I'm playing a 3-4, but I'm also playing 5 DBs. I only got one linebacker. An Avenger.
As a linebacker, Captain America.
Yep, because he's
the all around
ultimate leader.
Yep.
You know,
he's the all around guy.
His
what, how have you always described linebackers? They're a person who's really athletic, but they're not particularly good at any one thing.
Yeah, they're two.
Captain America, super athletic, not really good at any one thing.
Yeah, he can do everything really, really good, but you can find someone who can do it better pretty easily.
Right.
But anyone
can't do everything else is good.
Right. Yeah. He's a master strategist, so he's in the middle making the calls for me. My slot. Powerpuff Girls?
Never watched them.
Okay, I did
The pink
Buttercup.
one. Okay.
I did Buttercup, the green one,
Okay.
because she's the angry one.
All right.
All right. Cornerback.
I feel like I'm saying to some of these the way most people were probably saying to Star Trek people, like, all right, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I've heard of that person, I guess. I don't know anything about him. All right, cornerback, Fantastic Four, a Fantastic Four person.
Cornerback?
Yeah.
Human Torch.
Mm-mm.
Okay, then Mr. Reed.
Yes, Mr. Fantastic, stretchy guy.
Yeah, stretchy guy. Right.
Yes, very important for a corner.
Yeah, to be stretchy.
Yeah. My other corner.
Also, the guy who can fly doesn't hurt either.
Yeah, everybody can fly. My other corner is Plastic Man, who is the exact same person that Mr. Fantastic is, except he's just named a different guy. So I got two.
Plastic Man?
Plastic Man. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. He's so basically I got corners that never have to move their feet.
All right. So you got Gumby at the corner.
No, I got Stretch Armstrong.
There you go. And
Buttercup with her speed over the middle. At my safety, I'm playing the Joker position. I'm going to bring my safety down a lot. This was a TV show that had a van with a cave on top of the van.
Caveman. The cave guy.
Captain Caveman.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah, Captain Cave guy.
Yeah. So he yells Captain Caveman, and he basically turns into Juggernaut. So he also flies, so he can fly around with his club and come and fill the holes. Right. And then my last one for my safety, the rangy guy, I got Spider-Man.
All right. There you go. Ren, I don't have any more questions. Do you?
I don't think so.
All right. Final question from the chat room coming in here. And we've gone over this before on the show, but it bears worth repeating. Ren, what made you a Bucs fan?
Had to be.
Under threat of pain and death.
No, I didn't really know. Like, I knew what football was, but I wasn't really sure about the National Football League. I didn't kind of know what all that stuff was. And we lived in Orlando. My dad bought season tickets year one, and we started going. Like, I understand the rules of the game because I played it when I was young and I was playing it. But I didn't really, I didn't know all the teams really kind of outside our division. Back then, it was like, actually, it was before then. I don't remember, but like. So sort of through my formative years, it was the Packers, it was the Vikings and the Lions. And before that I think we were in with Seattle and some other crazy stuff. Or no, we weren't. I don't know. We had a weird division a long time ago. But yeah, that's how I became a Bucs fan, because my dad bought season tickets and he took me to every home game every Sunday for the first 10 years with Buccaneers. And we were terrible and I knew it. And, but with the optimism of a child, you don't understand. You're just like, we'll be good someday. Have to be, because they're trying really hard, and I have so much faith in these guys, and they're my guys, and they're not going to let me down, forever. Mm-hmm. And 20 years later, they did it.
Yeah. Right.
Now it's 40 years later.
My basic thing, I grew up in Lexington, Kentucky, where the closest NFL team we had was the Cincinnati Bengals, about an hour and a half or so away, but very much not our hometown team. Like, nobody in Lexington claims the Bengals as, as a hometown team. They're not even really in the same state. They're in Ohio. So I grew up in a land without really a hometown team. I mentioned earlier that I moved to Clearwater in 1998 when I went to college, and wound up actually living there full time, like even during the summers and stuff. And that was back then when everything was rocking and rolling for the Buccaneers, and just sort of caught the bug, fell in love with the team. They won a Super Bowl a few years later and just couldn't ever give it up. And here I am 20 some odd years later now. So that's how I became a fan and have been since then. And now we do this. So Ren, with that, man, I think that's gonna get us, buddy. That is our A.M.A. edition. Ask Me Anything. Hope you guys find you know a little bit more about Brent and Ren and your favorite podcasters here. We've got Hopefully a big season coming up. Big plans for everything we got going on here at the PewterCast. I mentioned earlier, our week always starts off right after the game with our instant reactions to the game, and we'll open up the phone lines. You guys call in, we'll talk about the game. Midweek, we usually do some sort of interview show with somebody who is in the building. We'll see how that works out this year, given things that are happening. You never know what may change.
Someone who used to be allowed in the building.
Right. Hey, so what's going on in the bill? Oh, wait a minute. And then we usually do like a supplemental show where we read some emails and different things like that. And then the end of the week actually turns into one of my favorite shows. One of the harder to produce, I think, but it's one of my more favorite shows, is we wrap up all the stuff that happened over the course of the week as we head into the weekend, looking towards the game. So lots of stuff coming during the season. Most of it's going to be found right here at YouTube. You can also find it on Apple Podcasts. You find it on Stitcher, Podbean, Podcast Addict, Google Play, Overcast, Jabbercast, basically wherever podcasts are found, you guys can do that as well too. With that, Ren, man, I'll give you a chance for any kind of final thoughts over anything we've talked about today, or as we head into the season. We don't even know what training camp's going to look like for us this year.
Right.
So we'll figure that out and get back to everybody.
Yeah. No, nothing. I feel like we lost a little steam there, even though it was my favorite question.
Yeah.
At the end, I feel like we lost a little steam there. But yeah, thanks for doing this. I know it's at least you took the time out of maybe your non-busy life, because you're not allowed to go outside, just shoot us a question and talk about this. And basically what we did was we're like, do you want to talk about, Shaq Barrett, for, 30 seconds? No, it's just really nothing to talk about. So we put the whole onus on you. And here we are an hour, and we're like, we're like the newspaper, it's like, right. Hey, if you see anything going on or have a story, call us,
right.
Hey, we're going to depend on you to do our content for us. But this is the first one we've ever done. I thought it was pretty fun. So yeah, that's it. Just a fun one. And I will be cutting this up and putting it up on YouTube in shorts, and chunks, the ones that I find that, should be selected. Maybe not all of them.
All right. Well, Ren, with that one, tell the folks where they get in touch with you out there on the internet.
Best place to find me is on Twitter, at Rendax, right there at the bottom of the screen. If you're watching it, REN_DAXT. I'm always down to talk Buccaneers football, but if you don't want to put your idea out on blast, you can DM me on Twitter as well, and we'll talk Buccaneers football there as well. Two. I just can't.
I'm doing it just to piss you off now. Hey, if you guys want to get in touch with me, you can find me at Brent Allen Live across all the social medias. And the show is available on Facebook, Twitter, and now Instagram over at the PewterCast. You guys can find us there by that moniker, pretty much across everything out there. You want to shoot us an email, you can do that too. thepewtercast@gmail.com. You guys do that, we'll get to them on a future episode. Thanks for everybody who showed up to talk to us tonight in the chat room, everybody who joined us live at youtube.com. You guys, please make sure you hit that subscribe button, smash that bell icon so you can be notified when we go live again in the future. And until next time, guys, go Bucks.